And it's Gordo here from Gordo's Games. We're back for some more content. So we are here slinging spells again, and we are going to be the deck profile for another deck that I've been playing and testing, and it has been doing pretty well overall. It's going to be a mono black deck. I'll go through the details when we get over to the setup. Before we do, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications so you know when this content goes live for you. And don't forget to stop by the Twitch sometimes. We do stream spell tables on a regular basis. If you want to get involved and play some games, hop in the Discord, links down below. Hop in the stream if you just want to spectate, say hello, chat some absolute waffles, because that is all I do on streams. I talk waffles, I get hated on by the people who play the games with me, and that is all fun in my opinion. But yeah, let's get into the deck profile. Obviously, with all these, this is still all a work in progress, so your input is vital for me. For me to make this better and more crucial to you all, tell me in the comments. You know, just leave a little comment there just saying great work, bad work. You know, just be honest. That's all I want from you. In the meantime, let's go and get into the profile itself. Here we go. Okay. So, going into the profile itself then, so we have Starscream. Starscream is going to be our deck of choice, and it's an interesting so a little bit of backstory to it. So I have a few, obviously I have a lot of secret lair decks, I have a lot of things that are IP to Magic and that. The transform ones are particularly something I wanted to build into, purely because my friend bought me all the Transformers cards for Magic, so I've done it on a principle to make something for him. So Starscream. Overall, it's a mono black Monarch deck. So Starscream works. And another thing I like about this, I'm going to go off on a tangent here, is how flavorful Starscream is. Starscream's effect on its flip side here. So we're going to bring the card up a bit. So it doesn't have the flip side on it. Sorry, I should have put that on there as well. My bad, but I know what it does. So you can play it for its more than meets the eye cost. So it costs 2 colorless and 1 black. It will have Flying, Menace, and Haste. And if there is no Monarch, whoever you would attack for the first time, they would become the Monarch. So what you're actually doing is you're introducing Monarch to the game, but you're enabling somebody else to do it. Exactly like Starscream would do with Megatron, because he plays his whole thing of being his lackey, but at the same time, he wants to be in charge. You give somebody the Monarch in respect of you're going to get it back from them later on. So you make a pretty, like a little mini alliance, and then you take it from there. But on this side of things here, what Starscream does, he has Flying. Whenever you draw a card, if you're the Monarch, target opponent loses 2 life. Whenever one or more creatures deal combat damage to you, convert Starscream. So, again, flavorful. If Starscream gets hit, he becomes the jet and he flies away, just like he would doing the things. But your whole thing for him, he's going to drain life from people just by drawing value cards. So he's a great value engine. So let's get into the breakdown of it then. So, deck overview to begin with. Let's start with, so lands and ramp is about 42 lands and ramp altogether. Card advantage is 26. Now that does sound like a lot of card advantage, but how the deck works, a lot of these things are advantage outside of their normal day-to-day roles as well. So whereas some of these cards wouldn't be card advantage in other decks, they are in this one. Spot removal 5 pieces, enablers 4, board wipe 1, and graveyard hate 1. Now enablers, just to say, that is linked into our Monarch. So we only have 4 pieces of enable for Monarch itself, but Starscream himself is pretty good at getting it back, just due to having the Menace, Flying, Haste and all that stuff. But that's the overview of the deck itself. Our main win cons, obviously, in general, are going to be draining people for life. So we're going to have a few different things, and then we'll talk about the combo pieces as we get to that part. But that is going to be our main win con. Now, I will say along with that, it will get you a little bit of hate, because as soon as you start draining people just by drawing cards, you do tend to get looked at as a possible target. So going over the lands and ramp, so as like previous ones we've done, I have taken out the lands itself. I will leave those down to you. I'll leave my deck profile, the link on for Moxfield in the description down below, if you want to have a look at that. But lands are generally down to you here. It's a mono black deck, so there's not a great deal of variety to go with. So we have Arcane Signet, Black Market Connections, Bola Citadel, which is possibly our best thing in this deck, because we spend life to actually look to play more things out, and there are other things that will conjunction combo with this. Cabal Ritual, Jet Medallion, Nakana Revenant, Soul Ring, Solemn Simulacrum, and Thought Vessel. So those are the pieces of ramp that we work into. Obviously just general pieces, standard pieces overall: Arcane Signet, Soul Ring, Thought Vessel. We do run things like Jet Medallion because we want to try and minimise the cost of our spells as much as possible and to maximise our turns. Black Mark Connections just to try and cycle some more cards early, because we'll happily pay the life to get an additional card or a treasure in that circumstance. Bowler's Citadel just to allow us to get visibility on what's on top of our deck and just continue to play from it. And Cabal Ritual for those times when we hit that threshold and we just want a big turn to play into. Card Advantage. Now this is the bulk of the deck overall. Peer into the Abyss. Now I will say this is probably one of our biggest win cons in the deck. Target player draws cards equal to half the number of cards in their library and loses half their life round up each time. So we're going to look to draw a substantial amount of cards in succession, and sometimes you can literally draw enough to take out at least 2 to 3 opponents. What I will say is try not to do this too early. There have been occasions where I've been able to take out the full board, and because you're going to be losing half your health, there is a chance you can get dealt with on the crackback. So just be mindful of this one. If you are looking to play into it, make sure you're at that kill threshold. Blood Pact. Target player draws 2 cards and loses 2 life. Card advantage for us there. And the loss of life isn't massive to us, and it will play into one of our other cards later on. Ambition's Cost. Ancient Craving. Black Mark Connections. This does fall into both due to the fact it has draw a card, you lose 2 life, but it also has the create a treasure token, you lose 1 life. It also does have Hiring Mercenary, so create 3/2 color saves with creature token with Changeling, you lose 3 life. So it has a lot of flexibility within the deck. Buried Alive. This is one of our pseudo tutor cards just to get some in the grave because we can reanimate, so we will look to do that. Creeping Bloodsucker. Now, at the beginning of your upkeep, Creeping Bloodsucker deals 1 damage to each opponent. You gain life equal to the damage dealt this way. So generally, we're going to get we're just going to get more and more advantage by people losing life and us gaining life, and we'll just pseudo card drawing all over the place due to our variation of effects. Dark Deal. Each player discards all the cards in his or her hand, then draws that many cards -1. So because we do run Reliquary Tower, that's a staple in here, and Thought Vessel. We are going to try and look to keep a large hand size. So when it comes to Dark Deal, it's not quite as good as Peer into the Abyss, but it can be enough to put you in threshold for it next time around. So just being able to wheel away your hand, you possibly wheel away some of your opponent's win cons as well. And they will get, and then draws that many cards -1. You do have other things in here which will allow them to take damage based on them drawing as well, so this can have a double effect on that. Demonic Tutor, Eldritch Pact, Night's Whisper, Pixelus the Hate Twisted, Rankle Master of Pranks, Read the Bones, Scheming Symmetry. This is one of your group huggy kind of cards. You're gonna try and make some form of alliance because you're gonna give a card to somebody else on top of the deck, and you're gonna get a card to yours on top of your deck. So you are gonna let somebody tutor alongside you, but it's a very cheap tutor, and sometimes it's nice just to get somebody on the side because you're not gonna make friends going forward. Let's be honest. Season Prayer Truth. This card does see a lot of hate because at the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player loses 2 life and draws 2 cards. All well and good. It's like, 2 cards, 2 life, it's not that bad. Over time it does start to put in the numbers, so people do take a liking to get rid of this card. Sensei's Divining Top, Signing Blood, Siphon Mind, Abandoned Mind. This is in here due to the channeling itself to try and return a card back to our hand, a creature or planeswalker from graveyard to hand. Because we do like to recur certain pieces when we're unable to do it, but through reanimates, things like that. So this can come up for card advantage. Villas Broker of Blood is probably one of our new ones. This I played in this in a game just yesterday, and it put in a lot of work. Whenever you lose life, draw that many cards. Using Peer into the Abyss with this on board is quite disgusting. I will be completely honest. And you can pay 2 life. Target creature gets -1/-1 to the end of the turn. So when you pay life, you will then get to draw cards. This will then cycle thingy, but you can also deal with a board state. So it has a chance to do spot removal as well as other things. Vampiric Tutor, Morbid Opportunist, whenever one or more creatures die, draw a card. This ability triggers once each turn, so it can give us a good amount of value if people are just swinging at each other basically. Even if we're not involved, we can still get some value out of it. Gotham Soul Hoarder, Village Rites, Phyrexian Arena, and that overall makes up the card advantage package. Now a lot of those aren't generally just card advantage, but because we can target ourselves with some of these, for example if we look at Eldritch Pact, the target player draws X cards and loses X life, where X is the number of cards in their graveyard. So we can make it so the fact of if we have Villas out for instance, we will draw X cards, so we'll filter let's say 10, we'll lose 10 life, so we're going to draw 20 cards off the back of that. Then if you have Starscreen out, that's 40 damage to go somewhere. That is a player out of the game. Now all of that is a very hypothetical setup, but it can happen with this deck, just due to the card advantage we have, being able to get things like Jet Medallion out, or some of our other ramp pieces, Cabal Ritual, all that kind of stuff. These all do help us filter into these big turn plays. But yeah, that overall makes up the card advantage package for this deck. Going into the enablers, like I said, this brings into it the Monarch side of things here. Outside of Starscream there is just a few pieces. So Court of Ambition. When Court of Ambition enters the battlefield, you become the Monarch. At the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent loses 3 life unless they discarded a card. If you're the Monarch instead, each opponent loses 6 life unless they discard 2 cards. This is a great way for us to just remove their hand, chip away some of their life, and just generally give us the Monarchy back. Things like this don't stick to the field reference because nobody wants to lose cards in hand whilst we're gaining so many, so these will just naturally take some of the blunt of the targeted spells. Court of Locthwain. Again, become the Monarch. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of an opponent's library. You may play that card for as long as it remains exiled, and if that mana of any type can be spent to cast it. If you're the Monarch at the end of the turn, you may cast a spell from one card's exile with Court of Locthwain without paying its mana cost. Again, another one's going to give us the Monarch, but it's also going to one that's going to take the heat off us for targeting, because nobody wants us to play cards off the top of their deck, especially for free. So overall, good cards just to try and take some heat off first, but generally just get us the Monarch back as quick as possible. Marchesa's Decree. When Marchesa's Decree enters the battlefield, you become the Monarch. Whenever a creature attacks you or a planeswalker you control, that creature's controller loses 1 life. A way to deter them hitting into us because we may have drained them by too much, or if they're looking to go for lethal and we've got them at a very low amount of life, and it would just naturally just kill them. Always a good way to deter things. Thorn of the Black Rose has Death Touch, so it's a nice body to block with. When the Thorn of the Black Rose enters the battlefield, you become the Monarch. That makes up our enablers there, so we have obviously, including Starscream, at least 5 there. Board wipes, we run 1. Now, there is room to put, you could make some changes within the card advantage package if you wanted, if you felt your pool of players needed you to control the board state a bit more. So you could run things like Decree of Pain and that, or Toxic Deluge. But Damnation has done enough for me. Destroy creatures, they can't be regenerated. Overall, strong board wipe. It deals with all the creatures because that's generally our problem is overall. And yeah, that's just it. Board wipe's pretty simple. I haven't found much need to use mass amounts of them. This isn't in CDH level, this is down in EDH, but I haven't found needs that do mass board wipe. Somebody else will usually beat me to it, or we would have won by then. Combo pieces. So, looking at the combo piece itself for Starscream. Starscream is obviously our key to winning the game. We are going to be abusing the whenever you draw a card if you're the Monarch target player, opponent loses 2 life. Some of the ways in which we can do that: Peer into the Abyss, as I mentioned earlier, Eldritch Pact again, and Mindcrank is in here as well. Now, one of the reasons I like Mindcrank on it, and this was suggested to me by somebody I often pops on the stream, Moonlit Wolf. Feel free to check down in the description for his Twitch as well, because he does stream also. But whenever an opponent loses life, that player mills that many cards. So how much we're going to drain people through just Starscream alone, it puts us in a position whereas we can just keep cycling all their good cards out of their hand. And then if you go on the basis of something like Eldritch Pact, for instance, target player draws X cards and loses X life, where X is the number of cards in their graveyard. If they've got to a position where they've milled out half their deck, it's in a very bad situation. You could target them for this, make them draw that many cards, they're going to lose life, so they're just going to mill themselves out, effectively. So you can take the win that way. That will eliminate one player for you. But Minecraft overall is a very, very strong win con. Again, another one that does take a lot of heat. So you'll notice there's a lot of cards in here that will just naturally take up people's targeted spells. Where are all the win con to go with it all is Orcish Bowmasters. Now Orcish Bowmasters also works with Peer into the Abyss in a very good fashion, because when Orcish Bowmasters enter the battlefield and whenever an opponent draws a card except the first one they draw in each of their draw steps, Orcish Bowmaster deals 1 damage to any target, then amass Orcs 1. So inherently we can amass a body to go onto the board, which is fine. We don't often swing with it, I'll be honest. It is really there for the ping 1 damage. But if we go ahead and Peer into the Abyss somebody, they'll lose half their life. Orcish Bowmaster then can ping them out for the rest of the life they've got left, and potentially do some more damage to somebody else as well. So generally we can do a lot of chip damage there. You can do the same with Eldritch Pact as well. And then if you pair off this with Minecraft as well, the more damage you deal, the more cards they mill. You also have Sazan Bertrud to work along with Orcish Bowmaster style of play here. So at the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player loses 2 life and draws 2 cards. So that's in their upkeep, that's not their draw step, so they will take 2 damage before the cycle's even started, and then they'll take 2 damage from Sazan as well, from when they drew the card. So 4 in total just at the start of turn, which is a lot of pressure to put on somebody. Up next is the Hate Twisted. Whenever an opponent draws a card, up next is the Hate Twisted deals 1 damage to that player. But we can also control the board by destroy a target creature, its controller draws 2 cards. So if we have a Nixus out, if they draw 2 cards, they're going to take 2 damage. Orcish Bowmasters, they're going to take 4. And they're going to lose a creature off the back of this. Underworld Dreams, whenever an opponent draws a card, Underworld Dreams deals 1 damage to that player. So we are going to just cycle more things to go along with Orcish Bowmasters, Sazan and things like that. Fate Raveler again, whenever an opponent draws a card, Fate Raveler deals 1 damage to that player. So we work on 2 sides of the coin here, so we can look to enable ourselves to draw lots and lots of cards, or we can enable our opponents to draw lots and lots of cards. So it depends on which side of the package you're into. If you're struggling to get Starscream to stick and keep the monarchy, then maybe going down the Sazan, Underworld, Fate Raveler, Orcish Bowmasters are going to potentially get you that win con a little bit quicker, then try and get the monarchy back. But overall, that is the deck itself. Let me know in the comments what you thought. If you've tested your deck yourself, or if you do play it yourself, I'd love to know what you have done with the deck and how you play it. But all in all, thanks for tuning into Gordo's Games. Thank you for obviously the support with everything so far. Point to record this video, we're at 482 followers over on our Twitch, so massive thank you to all there. We are 18 off that big 500, so if we can get to that, maybe we can look at doing some nice giveaways within the MTG community. So on that note, see you next time.